Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our St. Andrew's Broadcasting Network. Today I'm coming to you not with a worship service, but with some resources I wanted to share. Our pandemic goes on and on, as you know, and as this time continues where we can't safely gather to worship together, I wanted to share with you some resources that I find helpful in my own prayer life at home. I may do kind of a follow-up to this with digital resources that I find helpful, some podcasts and some apps. But today we're going to start with good old-fashioned books. You know our prayer book, and many of you all are familiar with the daily office services in the prayer book, particularly if you grew up during the time when morning prayer was the primary service on Sundays. And those services are beautiful, and I'm always happy to kind of talk about them and walk people through those. Maybe I'll do an episode on that as well. But today I wanted to share some resources in addition to our prayer book. I'm going to start with this book, which is called Daily Prayer for All Seasons. It's put out by the Church Publishing Company, and as the name implies, it's divided by our liturgical calendar, so it begins in Advent. And each season has sort of themes for different times of the day. So the first prayers of the morning are praise, centered around praise, then discernment, wisdom, perseverance, love, forgiveness, trust, and then the final prayers of the day are watch. So obviously, you may not do those all through the day, but maybe you want to choose one time of day. And each little section this is one little section. You can see that it's very short and manageable. It just takes a few minutes. And there are always some opening sentences and a prayer that fits the season and the time of day, and a hymn of praise, and a brief little scripture section and meditation, and then sometimes the confession or an affirmation, or maybe a little passage from a theologian or an ancient thinker. So it's really manageable. And kind of helps you stay centered around the rhythm of the day and also around the rhythm of the church calendar. Daily Prayer for All Seasons. Okay. Another resource, this one is called Women's Uncommon Prayers, Our Lives Revealed, Nurtured, and Celebrated. Obviously, this is intended, geared towards women, and all of the prayers in here are written by women. Most of them are lay people, some are ordained. Most of the names you won't recognize, but there's something for almost every stage and place in life that you can think of. So just reading through the table of contents, there is a section of daily life and prayers for the morning and the evening, but then there are also sections such as prayers for women at work, prayers for victims of abuse, prayers for illness, Thanksgiving, healing, weddings, birth, infertility, adoption, mothering, our mothers, friendship, on and on. So I'll be honest and say that they don't always speak to me, but it is a beautiful resource, and many of them do speak to me, and it's nice to know that sort of some of our experiences are quite universal. So that's Women's Uncommon Prayers. Now the next one, this one is called Common Prayer, a liturgy for ordinary radicals. This was actually assembled by some folks that I used to know when I lived and worked in Durham, North Carolina. And it's really made by some leaders in the new monastic movement in the church, which is about ways of claiming parts of monasticism that speak to the church today in terms of hospitality and social justice and living in community. So it also has prayers for the morning and the evening and prayers for particular occasions, but it also has brief liturgies for every single day of the year. And those include passages of scripture and sort of opening sentences and the Lord's Prayer. But then there are also sort of little biographies about people throughout church history, or people like Dietrich Bonhoeffer or Oscar Romero. And then sometimes it has little tidbits about relevant history to that particular day. So you sort of learn something, but so there's some diversity, but there's also a real rhythm to it and some repetition. And like I said, 365 days of the year. So that one is Common Prayer, a liturgy for ordinary radicals. Now these next two are fairly new to me, and I'm quite excited about them. This one is called Ash and Starlight by Ariam Braithwaite Lane, and I'm just going to read to you from the inside cover. What if who you are and where you are right now, and all the mess and beauty, are exactly what you need for your deepest connection with God? With this prayerful companion, your soul will rejoice, accept, surrender, and trust amid the ash and starlight of your daily life. And she talks a little bit about where she got that title, but I think it's really beautiful, Ash and Starlight. And so she has these prayers for very specific experiences. So one heading is prayers for centering, and it says things like, when I need to see the beauty before me, when I need to stop ruminating, I could use that. And then others about prayers for confession and release, prayers for trust, prayers for waiting and struggle, and then all kinds of suggestions under those. And after each prayer, there are related scripture reading suggestions. So sometimes I just find that it's really helpful to have someone else give me the words. Sometimes I need to use my own words to speak to God, and other times I find it more refreshing or more comforting to just rest in the words of someone else. So that is sort of what this book does, Ash and Starlight. And finally, this one is new to me also, The Blue Book, a devotional guide for every season of your life by Jim Branch. And what he has done is he also has chosen themes for different weeks. And so within that theme, there are assigned readings for each day from Scripture, and then there are also a collection of readings for reflection. So he's really sort of curated all kinds of writings from people like C.S. Lewis, Mother Teresa, Thomas Merton, Henry Nouwen, lots of the church greats. And he's put those all sort of thematically. It's kind of neat. And his themes include things like longing, the heart, shaped by the word, seek, doubt, etc. So I'm excited to try this one, and I think you don't have to go in any particular order. You can sort of think about what speaks to you at that particular moment or time. Again, that's called The Blue Book by Jim Branch. So those are just a few resources. You may have your own, and I know our other clergy have ones that are meaningful to them. I just wanted to share these, especially because I miss you, and when we can't be together, I hope that some of these will be meaningful to you. And stay tuned. Maybe I'll come back with some other forms of resources. Thank you.